Hey there, Mark Szymanski back again with another video here. Hope you're doing well. I just realized something that a couple weeks ago, I put together this whole studio. I finally finished it. We made a video, put it on the channel. Appreciate all the love and support there. Thank you so much. But honestly, I feel like I left you on a little bit of a cliffhanger. I told you how I did like most of this stuff. You saw me like painting the walls and laying the floor and doing all these different things, right? But I was literally just tagged in a post on X, and it was about like more of like the gear and the actual setup of the space and like how I record videos and do live streams and things like that. And I realized I didn't cover any of that. I actually have a video probably on the channel a while ago from like when I was literally like living back with my parents. That is extremely out of date now, so I figured maybe I'll just make a little impromptu video just kind of showing you exactly what I do. So if that sounds interesting to you, stick around. I'm going to go over the equipment, the gear, the whole setup here, the thing that I'm looking at every single day, plus the software that I combine with that to get a product that I can actually post on YouTube and other social media platforms. So let's just dive into it. The thing that I'm recording on right now is actually not really a part of my setup, but I'm going to throw it in here anyway because I really love it. This is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. It's just like a little tiny camera on a stick, basically. It's got a little gimbal on it, so you could like really use it for travel vlogging and such. That's what I bought it for initially because I was going to a bunch of events. But it really comes in handy because you can prop it up anywhere, you can put it on a stand, and if you just flip the screen, you can go from like horizontal to vertical. And like I said, it stabilizes everything. It's really great. Plus right here is the DJI Mic 2, and that pairs directly with it, obviously. It works really well, and it's just an overall great little setup here when I do anything like this that's not directly in my main setup. That said, let's take a look at it. So if we just take a bird's eye view here, you can kind of see there's a hair light behind me to my right. There's some other key lights and fill lights ahead of me here, the Elgato key light, and then some Amazon GVM lights there. If we come down and we take a look, I am sitting in the Herman Miller Embody, which is a very expensive chair that I bought a long time ago. I've got a Shure MV7 Plus here that I talk into at my main setup, connected just via USB and then also into the Elgato low profile arm. That's a Keychron Q3HE, brand new keyboard that I got, along with a very old Logitech MX Master 3. Really want the 4, but not out yet. And then we have my custom PC here, 128 gigs of RAM, RTX 2080 Super, large Samsung 49-inch Super Ultra Wide. Then we have the Elgato prompter, and then in behind it is the Sony a7 IV with a 16 to 35 millimeter Sony lens G Master 2 on it. And that's the setup there. So now that you know what I'm looking at, obviously you can see kind of the backdrop of what that ultimately produces with that lighting and everything. Still trying to dial it in. I don't think this is perfect by any means. But obviously the equipment, the physical gear is only one part of the equation. So let's talk about how I go about recording, like software-wise, given different situations that I find myself in. So I'm just going to go through the software one by one here, and I'm just going to give you a quick high-level overview. All of the links will be in the description if you want to check any of these out. They will be affiliate links if you decide to buy anything. I greatly appreciate the support if you do that. I can't give you a full tutorial of every single one of these softwares in this video. It would be way too long, but if you have any questions, just leave them down below and I'd be happy to answer them. But let's take a look at each one of these. So for the first one is Restream. Now I've been using Restream for a couple years now, and it's really good for live streaming. One thing to note is with some of these tools, there's definitely a lot of overlap. You could probably just use one for everything, but there are reasons why I use certain ones for certain tasks. There's obviously a ton of competitors out there that let you restream, so to speak. Like Restream was one of the first ones, but you could stream to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube all at the same time. There are other competitors, but from my needs and what I wanted, Restream was the one that has been the best to me. If I had to concisely tell you why I pick Restream, is because in the day and age of trying to guest a live stream, like host a live stream with guests, it's very difficult to do that on a desktop application. We'll get to that in a second with OBS as an example. So I needed something that had a studio in browser, which Restream does, while also staying high quality at least 1080p because you'd be sharing your screen and a bunch of other things. Plus that coupled with the fact that they just now, not too long ago, released a feature where you can kind of change your studio, put your face in different areas, like change the style of your little, face cam and everything. It's really great. Like I said, there's other competitors for this, but I would highly recommend you at least check out Restream. It's been very solid for me. So that's what I use for any sort of live streams that I do. Next would be any sort of recorded conversation. So something that's not going to be live, but recorded, downloaded, edited for later, but specifically with guests. And what I use for this is Riverside.fm. I first started using Riverside when I started my podcast, the MJS podcast, because though you can restream with Riverside, I haven't tried it and I don't think that's their forte. They're very, very good at recording local 4K copies of the video on yours and your guests' computers. So for instance, if you want to record a video, like some sort of tutorial or something like that with someone else, I would highly recommend Riverside because the quality that you get is going to be be literally like what if they're staring into a 4K camera, your computer's gonna be downloading your version of that file, their computer's gonna be downloading theirs, and that's gonna get uploaded back into the cloud, and then you can download it. And not to mention, Riverside has so many different things built in with like AI editing and all sorts of stuff where it does smart scenes and all sorts of things. There are other platforms that do that thing where it downloads the stuff locally and then uploads it back. Like I think StreamYard does that, but pound for pound, like features for price and just like the UI and the UX of Riverside, I just really love Riverside for anything that is recorded with guests. Again, you can choose not to have 17 different platforms to do all these different things, but if you're making this type of content, then you might want to pick the best tool for the job. So the next scenario that I run into is probably the most common, and that's just when I want to record a solo video. And the interesting thing with that is I like to have just a very quick and easy, like click it and just be able to start sharing like the right half of this large screen here and have everything set up and just know exactly what I'm doing and get ready to go. Now we'll throw in an honorable mention here. I used to use Streamlabs OBS, which is just the forked proprietary version, I guess, of OBS. But I recently switched probably about a year ago, just back to the main open broadcaster software here, OBS, tried and true. You can go try Streamlabs if you want. There's a couple different features, but honestly, OBS is like way more supported in so many things. And because it's free and because it's just completely open source, it's really like one of the best. I probably should have been using this for a while, but I deviated and now we're back. And honestly, I'm loving it. I know I put this one last in the lineup here, but if you're just going to be recording videos, I'd probably recommend you start here because it's free and because it's extremely versatile in what you can do with it. Now, there's a little bit possibly of like a learning curve. You can kind of see just from this screenshot here that there's like all these different scenes and sources and audio mixing and all this stuff. And that's actually what I'm looking at here over on my left screen. I can actually kind of show you perhaps if I just bring this over. I turned the preview off so we don't get that crazy little effect thing, but like this is literally what I'm looking at. So you can kind of see that I have my mixer over here. I have all my different, you can see how I'm recording. You have all these different scenes. You can switch really easily. If I were to switch any of these, you would just see like, it would probably work like here. So we're in face mode now. We're in this other one where I have the rounded. Then I can get a little smaller on the rounded. And then just show the screen. So you can see all these different things, right? So that you can do. And then these are the sources. So it's literally just like Photoshop or literally anything else. So those are basically layers. So that's either your camera or your display or your audio. You can move them around on the screen. You can change the border radius, all this different stuff. Really intuitive once you get the hang of it and, pretty versatile, like I said. One little thing that I will mention right now, because you can see it on the screen, is this branch output. And this is another big thing about OBS is that there's a ton of extra plugins that people have, kind of coded effectively because it's open source software that you can extend the functionality even more. So for instance, a common problem that you have here is that maybe you'll be recording your screen and you'll be recording your face, but you want to have the full resolution of it available for you afterwards. So think of it like you want to have like just like your, face on, you want to have that full image, that full video, but you also want to have your full desktop. So just in case your face got in the way, like the little, the little rounded thing here in the corner, it's like blocking some stuff at the bottom, which is funny because it's definitely blocking some stuff at the bottom right now. You can have these extra output files from this branch output plugin actually show up when you're done and render out. So then instead of just having one final produced file, you could have like one, and then you could also have just your screen and just your video. Just something to consider if you end up using OBS, but I found that not too long ago, and that has been very great for my production flow. All right, so next on the list here is short form video is obviously like a huge thing right now, and I do one every single night, like a daily recap and a thought of the day. And so this is a big part of my workflow currently. What I actually do is I record them in OBS, just kind of how I'm doing here, and then I take that video file and I upload it into Opus Clip. Now, personally for me, Opus Clip has been an absolute game changer because it takes so much work out of the way and also like ups the production quality a ton with just using AI and some automated things in here. You can drop in any YouTube clip or you can upload an actual video file. You press get clips and then you can do some other things if you want, but then ultimately you have access to a full little editor on any of your clips that you upload. You have like literally a built into the browser editing suite that you can do here. It's kind of like if you ever use like a CapCut, and Descript would be a competitor to this, but like it automatically adds all the captions. So anytime you see a video from me that has that, like, or anybody else, they're not writing that. That's all AI generated. So it'll automatically do all that for you. And then you can edit right in here. Now I will say the editing experience in here is not as good as like maybe in a DaVinci Resolve for sure. It's an in-browser little magnetic timeline thing here, but ultimately it still saves me a ton of time. With one click, I can get rid of all the pauses and it's just great. So this is how I produce all the short form content. And if you're trying to leverage that and like actually scale that at any rate, then I think that the captions are a no-brainer, and just all the other stuff that this provides, I mean, is pretty solid. Again, there's competitors, but this has been the one that's been working well for me. All right, so flying through here a couple more. The next thing that I want to talk about real quick is Auphonic. If you are in a situation where you are recording videos and your audio quality is shit, you absolutely right now need to go to mjs.link/Auphonic. I found out about this way too late, and this is literally magic for your audio. I don't use it on every video just because I'm kind of lazy and I feel like the audio quality is like decent when I'm in this setup. But if you're doing anything like out in the wild, even with those DJI mics that I had earlier, the sound quality is going to get a little rough just because of the acoustics of wherever we're at, maybe background noise and just the limitations of microphones that aren't kind of like in this setting where you can kind of, control a lot more. If you take any audio file that is like that and you drop that into Auphonic, immediately without even messing with anything, it's going to be 10 times better. And then you could even tune it more with all the different settings that they have if you're interested in it. I'm not going to go through all these. There's probably videos online that do. I don't know what every one of these things does, but all I can tell you is I've been at events in very loud rooms. I've taken the audio, I've brought it back from multiple channels too, like different people. It's able to like duck the audio so there's not a lot of echo. It takes out all that background noise. You can leave a little bit of background noise in if you still want some of the ambient sound. I mean, it is impressive. Personal opinion, you don't need to do this if your audio quality is decent, but audio quality is extremely important. So if you're not investing in like a good quality mic and like sound treating any of your space or anything like that, and you are having issues, maybe look into this. So as we're getting into the post-production area here, the other thing that I use most of the time, again, if videos come out of OBS and I'm not making shorts out of them, if I'm just making videos, I'm probably going to end up editing in DaVinci Resolve. I started in DaVinci Resolve a few years ago just because, again, they have a free suite that is just about as good as Premiere Pro or anything that you could find. They also have a paid version that you can upgrade to if you need to. But just to give you a quick look at it, I mean, again, this is like a professional level suite here. There's so much that you can do in it. And again, there's even more with the paid version. But again, free program, highly regarded even in the professional community for color grading and all of that. I don't really get into too much of that, but still this is like my go-to just because of how well it works and I know it now. So definitely recommend that if you want a good editing piece of software. A couple last things I'll throw in here from the post-production side, just because it's how I do it, is I come over to Canva, and this is where I make all my thumbnails right now. It's not fancy. It just works. It's the free version. Most of the time, it's fine. If I ever need to do anything a little bit more fancy, I don't have Photoshop, but I do have Photopea here. Photopea? I don't really know. But anyway, this is literally a clone of Photoshop. So anything you want to do in Photoshop, you could just do right here. Just go there and you can do it. So I use that from time to time. And then the other thing is obviously I'm using AI, I'm using Claude and ChatGPT to generate chapters and subtitles, literally just like upload your video to YouTube and then copy out the transcript once it's done and then put that into Claude or ChatGPT and then say, hey, give me the chapters for this. And it can do that really well. Sometimes you got to play with it a little bit, but I'm using that for title ideas, for any sort of description, stuff like that. This is one other random resource that I found. It's got a little bit of an algorithm checker to the titles specifically. There are some rules of thumb that if you really want to get into the YouTube strategy game that you could consider, but basically you put in any sort of title in here and it tells you how good your title is based on their algorithm for YouTube titles. So for instance, if I put in here how I film my YouTube videos, it's going to tell me it's a 67, I guess, out of 100. I've never really looked super deep into this, but obviously the higher the better. And you can just play around with it, right? I mean, if you're just looking, you can just see like how I film my videos in like 70. So there's like different little things that it's just bringing in there. I don't know who made this. I don't know what the actual algorithm is, but it's just another resource that I'll throw in the description for you. So that's a high level of everything I use to create content right now in mid 2025. I try to keep everything updated over on my website. If you go to markszymanski.co/tools, in here you can see literally basically every tool that I've ever used. A lot of them are, like website related, but there's a lot of equipment in here. Another good way is you can either explore all tools, you can just go down to blueprints, and I have a couple different things that are, like content creation or like my desk setup, my studio. We were kind of talking about content creation. So a lot of those tools are in here. You can explore some other different stuff if you want to check it out. And again, most of these are affiliate linked. If you use them, I will make a small commission at no extra cost to you. I will greatly appreciate it. But if you don't, no worries at all. I really hope you got something out of this video. If you did, leave a like and a comment down below. I want to leave you with a little bit of advice, something that I need to take myself more sometimes, honestly. Don't worry about if a video is perfect or the quality is fantastic. Every single time that you turn on the camera or you fire up the computer or whatever, like it's going to get better. You do not need all of this equipment that I have currently, and I don't even have as much equipment as some other people. The baseline here is literally just something to talk into and something to film yourself on. So don't go crazy spending a ton of money on all this equipment before you know that you actually like creating content and that you have the drive and the motivation to do so. Honestly, if you start with a terrible setup today, but you keep going in 5 years or whenever, like as you upgrade, you're really going to appreciate it. Just take a look back on my channels. It was bad before and it's a little bit better now. And in 5 more years, it's going to be hopefully way better. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, I greatly appreciate it. And I will talk to you in the next one.